Hello, everybody. Brian Engelman here with the Unhappy Hour. Congratulations, Trevor Bauer. You did it. You did it. You crazy son of a bitch. You did it. I knew you were going to do it. In fact, in the Unhappy Hour, ask anybody. Now, I've been banned from using Facebook because my views are radical or something because nobody's explained it to me. I've been banned for like 3 months now. But in the Facebook group for the Unhappy Hour Sports Show, your fearless leader, have been defending Trevor Bauer to everybody who would listen for years. Trevor Bauer, he's an interesting character. He's very funny. He's very quirky. He can be aggressive. He's innovative, though. I think most importantly, Trevor Bauer is innovative. And sometimes he has a hard time getting out of his own way. The drone incident. Some of the back and forths on Twitter can go a little aggressive. Maybe not. If you want to dance in that field, if you want to play on social media, I guess it goes a certain way. I think it's okay to go back and forth with somebody, but like when it turns into a really big pile-on, I don't know. The jury's still out on that. Let's focus. Once again, this is exactly what I'm saying about Trevor Bauer. It's hard to focus on one component of who he is. You may know him as the guy who back in the Arizona Diamondbacks, what was it, the Diamondbacks? I think that's where he came from. I've always known him as an Indian, but I'm pretty sure he has very interesting warm-up routines where he will throw the ball from center field to home plate. So when he did that stunt throwing it from the diamond out of center field, like he practices that stuff. Kind of like how LeBron, he always practices full court shots. Because at some point you may need to make that shot. And if you've practiced a certain type of shot from a certain part of the court, then it's muscle memory. Then you actually have a chance. Maybe it's not a great chance, but it's a chance. And that's what sports is. It's just the glorious. It's the unexpected. And Trevor Bauer just completed a glorious and unexpected season. Some would say. I didn't say it that way. The way I said it was that Trevor Bauer was a mad genius. Trevor Bauer was calling out the Houston Astros for their cheating well before most people were. Long before most people were. By the way, can we even talk just a little bit about Trevor Bauer's social media game? Let's talk about, because look, there are going to be people today that want to tell you about his statistics. His 1.37. Honestly, I don't even have the stats in front of me. I saw that he led half of the major categories. And the other half are probably owned by Shane Bieber on the Cleveland Indians, former teammates, Trevor freaking Bauer, you bastard. You glorious bastard, you did it. Oh, you did it. There was maybe 2 seasons ago, Trevor was playing with the Cleveland Indians, and he was having a Cy Young type season, and he took an injury. I'm trying to remember what it was. I think it was off the bat. He got hit by a return line drive or something. I don't even remember. Was it a wrist injury? Type it in the comments. I don't know. I don't. It's funny, the things you retain in your brain when you're 13 versus when you're not. I think different things. It's easy to forget. What was that injury again? Who was the head coach when? Who was the manager? Who was the general manager when so-and-so got traded? I don't know. It kind of blurs together for me a little bit. But back to Trevor Bauer. You need to watch his show on Momentum, I think. It's Trevor Bauer with a GoPro. It's the most compelling baseball content since the movie Major League. Is that fair to say? Did you watch it? Did you watch it during COVID? It was fascinating. It was great. It was well done. Now, Trevor Bauer, he's a very unique individual, and you get to see inside of his brain and how things work on a daily. You get to see him train. The former UCLA grad is perhaps most well-known, despite all the antics and the skills, as an innovator with analytics. You want to talk spin rates and velocities and all the things that I've never really spent a ton of time on. Like maybe the past 10 years of advanced analytics. I don't pay that close of attention. I'm not throwing the ball or hitting the ball. I haven't even seen Moneyball. I didn't even know that Chris Pratt guy was in it. I'm like, oh, I really should watch that, right? I hadn't gotten around to it. But Trevor Bauer, the content he put out was really good on social media. You have to watch it on YouTube. Subscribe to his show and just watch it. And he's also doing something really just innovative with, and by the way, pause for just a second, because the advanced analytics and the work that the Cleveland Indians front office has done to consistently deliver top-notch pitching talent, it's off the freaking charts. This is the same team of the 90s, the Cleveland Indians, that couldn't win. They had Baerga, Bell, Lofton, Alomar, Ramirez, Thome, Justice, Roberto Alomar, Sandy Alomar, Matt Williams. You go down the line, you think of the Cleveland Indians, you think of offense. Did I mention Albert Bell? Yeah, Bell, Baerga, Lofton, Alomar, Ramirez, Thome. Ugh. But what have they done since? Let's look at what they've done. Cy Young. You had CC Sabathia. You had Cliff Lee. You had Corey Kluber twice. Trevor Bauer was a Cleveland Indian for many years. Trevor influenced the team, and the team influenced Trevor. It was a good blend. And I know every team is probably trying to do a version of this. I do understand that. But not everybody is this in depth with it like Trevor Bauer. So he's innovative when you watch his workout routines, when you watch the strange things that he's doing. Grabbing heavy balls and just launching them up at brick walls. And it's... You watch him, you listen to him break down a game. It's similar to LeBron James. When you're listening to someone that's a genius at their craft, it's just fascinating to figure out like the types of insights you can get. So Trevor Bauer is one of those, and he's also an odd duck. I believe he has a running bet with his friend, his good friend, that he'll never sign more than a 1-year contract again in his life. And if he does, his friend gets to kick him in the nether regions. Something like that. Isn't that the story? I think that's the story, right? And so he was traded by Cleveland. So we never said, oh, he didn't choose us. He threw the ball out of the stadium and we booted him. Like, all right, see you, guy. I get it. You want out. Let's get you out of here. It's wild. I mean, but it's entertainment too. Oh, that was so dumb and crazy and memorable. That's a society that we live in, right? We all have to be perfect all the time. Even when I stuttered on society right there. There's a society. There's a society. That's the society that we live in. Trevor Bauer was an absolute beast on the field. And he was doing exactly what he was doing in Cleveland when he was healthy. When he got hit with that, I think it was a line drive, and he was like 2 months short of the season closing out. And he was right there. He didn't have the cachet, like he didn't have the name recognition, and he hadn't been as consistent on the year, but he had caught up. But he had found him, and he was in the hunt. Making that curve around the bend. You could see, in horse racing or whatever, that final turn. And he was in that cluster. 3 or 4 pitchers, 3 or 4 horses. And he was right there. And then he took that injury. And I defended him to a lot of people in the unhappy hour who told me he was more hype than substance. He was more trouble than he was worth. That he was roughly a 500 pitcher with nearly as many losses as the number of wins. And there were times over the past 2-3 years where those arguments and those points made sense. I don't know that I would... I think they made sense to a certain degree. I think the extrapolation that the entire career was going to continue a trajectory of his worst and lowest moments, I feel as that would be insincere or inaccurately representing what that opinion, that thought. And so I really defended him. I saw what he had. I saw the talent. I thought it was hilarious when he was in the locker room talking about somebody on the Chicago White Sox. And so I had to remind him about the rules of the game. I get to pick the pitch that I'm going to pitch, and you have to hit it. That's what this game is. So I'm going to do, and I reminded him the rules. 1, 2, 3 strikes, you're out. Go take a seat. He took it like a champ. I saw that interview, and you know what I'm talking about. But if you scroll back, not on this YouTube channel, but on the New American Media channel, if you scroll back, it will have us doing a Thug Life edit. It's in there somewhere. I don't know. Scroll back. Whenever that came out and we saw it, we made a Thug Life edit. It's really funny. And I think we got a copyright claim for that 3 seconds of, the music plays while the sunglasses drop. I don't know. Whatever it was. But I've been a big Trevor Bauer fan for a while. I think his one-year plan is brilliant, probably mathematically, because when you're the highest paid, when you're the most sought-after free agent, you always get the highest possible contract from the team that has positioned themselves with the most possible money to spend. It's genius. And then you have all these different hats. I saw the social media picture with Cincinnati hat, and what about the New York Mets? And it's genius, because now he goes to cities and goes, hey, wouldn't this be a good place to play? Or, hey, I'm in San Diego. My buddy Clev is out here. Mike Clevenger traded from the Indians as well. And so now you kind of have the entire league rooting for you as a free agent, as a perpetual free agent. And being in Cleveland for as long as Trevor Bauer was, I mean, he got to see LeBron James at peak LeBron James. The top of his game, a brilliant, genius mastermind of the game. Set aside his politics for a second, because, man, that's a whole other issue. Then there's his game and his talent, but there's his marketing brain. Most importantly, there's his ability to see how to craft a new environment. And that's rare. That's alchemy. That's manifestation. You have to see it. And Trevor Bauer could see it. And maybe he stumbled into this one-year thing. Maybe he's peaking at the perfect possible time as he's becoming a one-year free agent. Exactly like he wants. So who's going to pay him the most? He could always be the highest paid pitcher in the league as long as he lives up to his end of the bargain. And he consistently delivers and is able to stay healthy enough so that he won't scare teams away the next season. That's always the risk, right? That's always the risk. And I know he's a pitcher, but, Trevor Bauer's a long ball hitter. He goes for it. He may strike out sometimes, goofing around with a drone, split his finger open, and it wrecked our already wrecked rotation, and, it eventually caught up to us. We might have been able to win that World Series if we had a healthy Trevor Bauer. I don't know. That season, everybody was injured for the Indians on the pitching staff. I don't know how they got through it. And once again, it came down to extra innings. Game 7. Second time in my lifetime the Cleveland Indians have gone to Game 7. extra innings and not brought home a baseball championship. You want to talk about tough. So for as good as Trevor Bauer is, there was always a certain level of animosity, probably even in and around the supporters of him as a player and a person. That just, part of his resume is always going to be that, your actions off the field created a situation where you couldn't perform on the field. And we just expected that you weren't going to have that lapse right there, So there's lapses. And look, it was an accident. I get it. But it really did wreck the moment. It really did wreck the moment. But he pitched. And it was squirting blood. It was doing what he was doing was kind of ridiculously impressive as well. And I don't think he didn't flinch very much, if at all. They stitched it up, and man, it did not hold. Talk about Kurt Schilling in his sock. Yeah, this was, a lot of people had to turn away. That was a lot of injury. But he's a complex character. So, every major market's like, hey, come play with the White Sox. Hey, come on, play with the Padres. Trevor, you got to stay in Cincy. Dude, we turned it around last year. We can build on something here. Maybe he does. Maybe he does re-sign. But he's always going to get him to come up and go, hey, I'm getting an offer for 37 to go play here for the Yankees on 1 year. If I can bring people through your turnstiles or sell some merchandise. And that's the other thing. Trevor gets into it with the commissioners. Rob Manfred. And that's pretty fun. Because I think he's the worst commissioner in all of sports, and we got some bad commissioners of sports right now. But anyway, back to Trevor Bauer. I was fortunate enough, after the Thug Life edit, the Indians came to play the Anaheim Angels. And I went to that game and caught Trevor, what was it, before the game or in between innings or however that worked? Yeah, I think before the game started. And I got his attention and just, and it took a while because he was signing a lot of stuff, and it was kind of like there were moments and then there weren't moments, like kind of moved in waves. And a lot of people that were there at the same time, but I eventually had my chance, and I was just like, hey, we made a Thug Life edit of your White Sox interview. He's like, what? I gave him one of my cards, I think, for the unhappy hour. I'm just like, yeah, man, it's on the site. Like, it's just hilarious, because you're an entertainer. It wasn't totally like awful natured. It's kind of playing around and in good fun, in good spirits. Kind of, we're supposed to be having more fun in life, right? And so that was kind of cool. I told him about that. He thought that was cool. He signed a baseball for me. I saw the kid's potential for a long time. You got to watch his workout routines from his old days. And from now, you got to watch his TV show. He's bigger than baseball. It's the most compelling baseball content that I've seen in years. Maybe ever. And I feel like the Major League Baseball, like they're trying to clamp down on him creating content. It's like, dude, you need more of this. This reconnects us to your game. It's great, but he has a different vision. He's a visionary. And congratulations, Trevor Bauer, this year. You made that vision the reality. You were in the hunt that year you got injured. You were doing great. But I couldn't be any happier for you. I'm happy that the sports universe has somebody like you. Um, Thank you for proving me right to everybody in my group over at the Unhappy Hour. It's still a group on Facebook. Go to it. Private group called the Unhappy Hour Sports Show, a support group. Facebook banned me. Still has never told me why or allowed me an opportunity to correct anything. But the group is still there. But I've been defending Trevor Bauer, and I kind of put my backing, my thoughts on the line about that. And it's like, I told you guys this was a Cy Young. He's a mad genius. He's a mad genius. Yeah, he's gonna. There are some beakers that are gonna overflow and pop. That's what mad geniuses do. They test, they tweak, they push boundaries. They screw up sometimes. You know. So do humans. Let's move on. I like the content he's creating. Um, and man, he's creating a bunch of strikeouts too. So curious and excited to follow him on his career. Selfishly, I would like to keep him in Cincinnati so that I could go see him play. I wanted to this year, but damned COVID. So, all right, congratulations. Keep up the good work. Trevor Bauer, 2020 Cy Young winner.